Welcome everyone to the 37th episode of My Career, My Identity. Stanley B. Pruisiner has told, neuroscience is by far the most exciting branch of science because the brain is the most fascinating object in the universe. Every human being is different. The brain makes each human unique and defines who he or she is. We find so much of progress around us. How does these changes happen? And innovative technologies are emerging. Human body, brain, nervous system have been of curious interest for the academic investigation. Human body and its wonders always attracted scientists and researchers. Today, we are discussing courses, skills, professional advancement, and expectations in the field of neuroscience. I'm sure the 37th episode of My Career, My Identity at Dr. Benny Palati Vidum Vidyalaya YouTube channel will be of very interest and will be a very special session for each one of the participants. Neuroscience over the next 50 years is going to introduce things that are mind-blowing, said David Eagleman. Neuroscience examines the structure and function of the human brain and nervous system. Neuroscientists use cellular and molecular biology, anatomy and physiology, human behavior and cognition, and other disciplines to map the brain at a mechanistic level. We find artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., focusing on the human neuroscience. We also find more researchers to the areas of neurosystem to reveal its secrets and working pattern. This is a very promising field. The secret of nervous system is of interest for many of the research areas and disciplines. Human brain, memory, thought processes, learning patterns, etc. are all part of this interest. We find clinical neuroscience, cognitive neuroscience, and many innovative developing streams connecting itself to the neuroscience. Understanding the brain is one of the greatest challenges in the modern science. In order to see the amazing progress of science and interdisciplinary research, it is necessary to connect to the world of neuroscience. Eric Kandel has said, I see psychoanalysis, art and biology ultimately coming together, just like cognitive psychology and neurosciences have merged. How do the youngsters prepare themselves for this progress and academic wisdom? No one can ignore this field. Everyone needs to closely monitor the developments. Youngsters need to know the field, identify their own interests, and focus on this special area to get ready for the mind-blowing innovations within neuroscience. Meanwhile, it's quite correct that the field of neuroscience is not just about medicine and biology. It is so vast and it is expanding faster than before. If I want to know how we learn and remember and represent the world, I will go to psychology and neuroscience. If I want to know where values come from, I will go to evolutionary biology and neuroscience and psychology, just as Aristotle and Hume would have where they ally, said Patricia Churchland. Youngsters, those who are interested for this area should verify their specific interest in this expanding world. They also need to focus on the new developments and innovative in-depth studies and researches. It is necessary to follow major institutes, findings, interdisciplinary developments and courses in this area. There are immense possibilities here. It is necessary for the youngsters to know the field, activities, and fundamentals, current courses, the skill sets, and the opportunities to prepare themselves ready. There are many youngsters who are interested in medicine. Many of them have very general awareness about medicine and biological disciplines. There are different areas and life science subjects where people who are interested to work and study human body can excel and contribute. Neuroscience outstands in these areas as one of the most promising areas. So dear youngsters, let's benefit this session by interacting with the expert. Today, we have a brilliant researcher to share her journey with us. It is Chaitanya, research scholar from AIIMS, Delhi. Chaitanya is a research-focused expert and a brilliant scholar. She has grabbed ranks for her studies and energetically moving forward with her research at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. She is clear about the possibilities and developing scope of neuroscience, a dedicated researcher and a brilliant academician who is studying and contributing to the world of neuroscience. Thanks, Chaitanya, for being with us. We love to listen to your story on engraving and excavating the roots, secrets, and structure of brain and the whole neuroscience. Thanks and welcome. Now, over to you, Chaitanya.
Thank you, Father. I hope I'm audible and
Yes, sure, you're audible, you can. Yeah.
So, a very good evening, and thank you, Father, for giving me this opportunity. Uh, just to clear, I'm just a budding researcher, so my expertise and knowledge is limited from whatever I've gathered. But I'll try to impart as much as I have gained in this short time, and I hope everyone becomes more interested and intrigued in the subjects and are welcome to join this subject. So, as been introduced, myself Chaitanya Leon. I'm currently a PhD scholar at AIIMS in the Department of Physiology. And a brief disclaimer, I don't have many accolades in my name. So, I come from a very humble educational background as well. So, as far as my schooling goes, a regular convent schooling, which like till 12th, and I didn't have much of many ideas as to what I want to be, what I didn't want to be, what I had to achieve, or anything as that. Uh, in the journey, I've always, though I've always actively participated in whatever curricular activities that come my way, because it was kind of a push to always be in front, be it academically or be it extracurricularly. Again, as in everyone's life, the turning point comes as to choose which subject to choose in 11th, post or 10th. I opted for science because it's more, I felt it's more fun and something I'll get to learn more, or something that I'll be intrigued with more, because there was always a curiosity in me to know and understand how things work. How does everything comes in so smoothly, or how is it, like, as far as the human body is concerned, how are we easily able to execute as simple as movement, as small as or as easier we think as a walk or running is, to how are we able to think, like there are weird random dreams that comes and you have no clues how, why. You might not even have seen a movie that day and you still have stranger, scarier, or funnier or interesting dreams. So that has always interested me. So hence, when it came to choosing a subject, I wanted biology in my future studies, which I was always clear. And secondly, the choice given to us was either bio or computer. So I was very clear that I'm bad at computers. So yeah, biology was definitely a way to go in. uh, and again, so as with the limited knowledge, everyone working like everyone choosing biology as a subject always prepares for medicine. I didn't prepare as such for medicine because somewhere I was sure that I didn't want to be a doctor down the line. Like I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to handle the pressure or so many patients, or even somewhere I was clear, but then still, because there's a peer pressure, and then the title of doctor is so fascinating that everyone gives in. Uh, yeah, I did give entrances and I did clear KPMT, but then my rank was so low that I was either getting homeopathy or Ayurveda, which I was not much interested. I did clear CMT Ludhiana's exam, but again, the rank was very like I didn't score a higher rank, so I couldn't get. So, but then I was not disheartened at all because somewhere I was like, medicine is not my cup of tea. But then the question after 12th was, what next? In which field do I want to really enter, or what is it that I want to choose? Again, there was a lack of clarity, as in because there were a lot of subjects and I didn't knew in depth as to what. Okay, so I had a broader perspective, as in this subject will lead me into, will take me to clinical background, or this would completely take me to a research background. But again, I didn't want to commit into a particular subject as such. And the safest that I could see at that time was life sciences in front of me, because life sciences completely covers all of the subjects under the umbrella of biology. So I knew choosing life sciences would help me get a more insight as to what all these subjects have in detail compared to what my knowledge in 12th would be. Hence, I ventured into life sciences. I joined Delhi University, Raptors College, for life sciences stream. And I'm really happy that I took that decision, because it really opens up a plethora of knowledge in all these subjects. What was interesting is, again, I was learning, I was interested in all of the subjects at the same time. But again, I was not able to pinpoint, as in this particular subject would be my master, it would be something that I would gain masters in. But in sixth semester, I was introduced to physiology, and that came as a serendipity to me, because it, I was like I remember in childhood I always wanted to know how human body works, or how is it that so we are so beautifully crafted, and every individual is yet so unique in in each and every aspects of their life. And knowing physiology, knowing that I'll get to learn every system in detail, was something that just wanted me to pursue this subject as my master's. But when I googled, there were very less institutes which could offer me masters in physiology. Now, and that juncture, when you're youth and you've studied under your parents for a very long time, you always want to escape. And I saw this opportunity for masters to escape. What I did was, I didn't want to study or pursue my masters in Delhi. That was something which I was very clear about. So I was just looking outside of Delhi. And at that point in time, one of my senior had did her masters from Pondicherry University. So Pondicherry University sounded a very fascinating place to be, near the beach. So like away from parents, I'll get to travel more, explore more. That was more of my motivation than physiology as a subject, to be very honest. But then entrance, just having an interest doesn't like wouldn't do much. Entrance is always there. So Pondicherry, and luckily Pondicherry University did offer medical physiology as one of their subjects. I prepared, but then and okay, so one of the other thing about these, like when you choose masters as a subject, especially subjects like physiology, is the seats are very limited, maybe 5 or 7 or max 10 in number. And even in that, for general category, it would be hardly 3 or 5. So the competition is more. I wouldn't say the competition is more, but then you really need to prepare well in advance if you really need to have a chance clearing those exams. Since I had an aim of getting to Pondicherry University out of Delhi and physiology, which is something which interests me, I didn't. But then, just to be on a safer note, I did give other entrances exam as well. Luckily, I could clear the entrance exam with the third rank, and I was like, oh, probably this is what it is. Like, this is what God also wants for me. Well, I packed my bag and went to Pondicherry to explore the city, to know more about physiology, to learn more. Luckily, I had a very good mentors over there. And when I joined the college, the subject was more and more and more fascinating. So in every class, or the like in every a month or two, different systems were covered. So knowing that how all of it like okay, till 12th or till graduation, we are in this notion that every subject is a standalone in itself. But as we come towards the end of graduation or enter masters, we realize no subject is standalone itself. It's an integration of multiple fields, in discovery, in knowing each in decoding each pathways or system functioning as such. So that was really interesting to know and learn. But my dream of Montessori was short-lived, so to say, because of certain uh, needs at my home back here in Delhi. Uh, it was disheartening at first when I was really when I heard like the brief thing is my father fell ill and my mom needed an emotional support. I was far away and the things were pretty serious. As a result, somewhere she wanted me back, but I couldn't afford to lose my masters over here because I committed a 3-year program in my masters in Pondicherry. But then I was in a dilemma whether to discontinue, lose my 1 year, and join in either of the universities in Delhi and pursue whatever like just give whatever entrances and whichever I'll clear, I'll to take that, or just stick around Pondicherry and just hope everything works for the best. But then somewhere down the line, I just one thing that I really wanted was I wanted to come back and be with my family in that emotional crisis. uh, and luckily, as I said, I was blessed with good mentors in Pondicherry University. So one of my mentors suggested, why don't I give AIIMS entrance examination? They also offer physiology. In that way, if you clear the examination, like you get to be closer to your home, as well as you'll be registering into one of the esteemed institutes in India. I was like, sure, why not? There's no harm in giving a shot. And probably the fear of not getting or being not able to be closer to family was more, as opposed to, I would say, the educational push, to be very honest over here. But I put in all the efforts I could in. Like after coming back from college, whatever hours I had, I used to literally churn myself whatever 5 to 6 hours for my entrance preparation, and I gave my best. That till date, I would say that that entrance examination was my best because I had a clear goal of coming back and being with my family more than anything else. Uh, and one thing over the period of time that I've learned and I do believe is whatever happens, happens for the good. This is something that I firmly believe in. It might be disheartening, but after some time, I'll know that why that happened or why that certain event was important. So with that hope that even if I won't clear the examination or even if I clear the examination, it would be for the good. I prepared well, I gave my entrance examination, and I awaited for the result. Uh, so there was a certain date declared for the declaration of the result. On that particular day, I was very anxious. Like even though I was all mentally prepared, yeah, whatever will happen will be for good. I know his plans are much greater for me, but still, being human, you are anxious and you somehow want to achieve what you really wish to. So in that context, I was waiting, and the result wasn't declared till 10 at night. And I thought probably due to technical delay or something, it must have been postponed. But then I think I went to bed around 11:30 that day, and there was a certain glitch. Like I checked once more. What's the harm in checking once more? And when I opened the result, I could see my name the first to be appeared in the rank list. And I was like, okay, it could be probably some different Chaitanya because first and me it's not possible. And so I had to double check my name because my name has a TH. So I was like, probably there's a spelling. It would be some difference at the end, so there won't be a th. So there would be a T. Then I double, triple, four times I rechecked my roll number entrance examination whether it's right or not, and it was really surprising that I could clear the entrance A. Here at AIIMS, we have only 5 seats, and in that 5 seats, only 3 general seats we have. Coming in general category, it was a long shot for me, but things did work out for me, and I did got my entrance into AIIMS, the premier institute where most of us wishes to be, to pursue our degrees, if not uh, like it just feels great to be part of such premier institute. So that uh, event at my home, which really pushed me to work and give my best, helped me achieve, crack the entrance examination, and enter the world, enter into AIIMS and Department of Physiology. So at Department of Physiology, we have a lot of laboratories over here, which have their own expertise in different systems, as I mentioned earlier. So in masters, as everyone is aware of here, I suppose that we need to do a dissertation. We need to do a small thesis work. So in order to choose, and for that we need to choose a certain subject. Now, of all, like we have respiratory lab, we have autonomic function lab, we have EG lab, we have yoga lab, we have molecular lab, and more. But what struck me hard was sleep physiology. That was something that really itched me. As in, A, I love to sleep. So to know more about sleep was something which I was fascinated about. So that itch in me helped me, made me more curious as to what really happens in sleep lab. Like, what study do we have? What are the experiments that run that would decode sleep as a whole? So with that curiosity in mind and that itch, I joined the sleep laboratory for to complete my master's dissertation. And in that, we had an option to choose either animal work or human work. I really wanted to have an hands-on experience as to how surgeries are performed, how animal works or experiments are run, how do we inject a certain group of drug into a certain experimental model, and how do we learn and understand it. So with this in mind, I chose animal work. And in my animal work, what I had to do was, I selected a group of nuclei in which I would inject glutamate, and I would if study the effect of glutamate on sleep. So, sorry, I forgot to mention that my work was on rats. So, I wanted to see the effect of glutamate injection on sleep in rats. Uh, the as fun and exciting it sounds, it's taxing. And I had committed two kind of works where one was short, which is required 6 hours recording, and one was 24-hour long recording. So if everyone is aware, rats are nocturnal animals. So if you need to study them, like sleep wake cycle, you need to sacrifice your sleep, which I hadn't calculated while entering sleep lab. But then the work was so much interesting to learn, and to learn their behavior as such. Sacrificing a certain amount of sleep for research was not a big deal, and still is not. So in that context, I was able to complete my study in sleep in rats. So what we used to do is, we used, in order to record sleep or in order to analyze sleep, what we need to record is, we need to record from brain, we need to have recordings from muscles, we need to have recordings from eyes. So we like manually create these tiny electrodes which needs to be plugged into different brain surfaces, to ocular muscle, to neck muscle, so that we're able to record their sleep activity. Now, sleep activity can be categorized only with these three electrical patterns, because sleep itself is differentiated into uh, non-REM sleep and REM sleep, and it has different characteristics, to just to be very precise. So in order to, like, so in REM sleep, the characteristics is like your brain activity, activity would be like that of awake state, but then your body will show muscle atonia, so there would be a flat line. So in that, if you have a brain activity which is active, but then if you have a muscle activity which is completely there's no muscle activity, then that you would categorize as REM sleep. But if there are, and then the other sleep is non-REM sleep again. So depending upon spikes you get in EEG activity, or different kinds of ocular movements, or different kinds of muscular movement, we are able to further categorize non-REM sleep into N1, N2, and N3. So that was a brief study that we did, and yes, so I wanted to know the role of this lateral septum nuclei in sleep. So I used to inject glutamate and used to study sleep pattern. And successfully I was able to complete the recordings, both sleep, short and longer sleep. But then, though I was able to complete the recording, but I was not able to complete the n number. As in order to, for a study to establish itself or to be statistically proven, it needs to have a certain number n. Being okay, one thing about research is that not every outcome will favor you. So since mine was on rat experiments, I used to very enthusiastically do the surgeries, do the implants, give the drug, and record. But over the period of time, I had to lose my rats, either due to infection, or they would. There were times when I couldn't even reason out why they didn't survive the surgery itself. So, due to owing to time constraint and owing to unpredictable reasons, I couldn't complete my N number. But then that experience itself was very interesting, and I knew this is something that I would really love to explore more, because in sleep itself there's a lot to learn. Even today we are not sure as to what exactly functions does sleep serve us. Is it just a physiological phenomena on evolutionary basis, or does it actually serve? Yes, we have, like, it does helps in memory formation, it helps in rejuvenation, there are certain benefits, but then what exactly or how much uh, hours of sleep is still yet to be concretely found. And then another aspect, dream, which is again a big question in front of you. Not again, like, still the most famous theory in dream is Freudian theory of dream. So there's yet to know more and explore more. So one thing at the completion of my thesis, master's thesis, was sure that I would like to pursue something in the field of if not concrete sleep as such in new sleep physiology, but something to related to neuroscience only, because it's fascinating. There's a lot and lot to discover more. Though we are in an era where we have technical advances, theoretically we are aware of a lot of things, but still there are a lot of paucity and lacunae available. After completing my master's thesis, I gave again. I want, because the department does offer a lot of does offer a lot of laboratories which have expertise in different systems. And since I was sure that I want to stick with neurosciences, but at my entrance, during my entrance time, the entrances was project based, and luckily, unluckily, fortunately, unfortunately, my sleep lab, we didn't have a project at that time, so I couldn't appear, like, I couldn't enroll or sit for entrance examination for sleep laboratory. But then the other PhD seat that was available was on for cognition. And again, so since I was sure that I wanted to stick with neurosciences, I gave PhD entrance examination under the for cognition as the basis for PhD thesis. And luckily enough, I was able to clear again. And so currently, I'm working in cognition in ADHD subject in ADHD subjects. So I right now I'm in an in a path to discover and understand the neural aberration in ADHD subjects, and how at all is it, like, in what all aspects are they hampered, and how can it be corrected or diagnosed uh, objectively. So for objective diagnosis, QEEG, quantitative electroencephalography, acts as a medium through which I record their electrical activity. So they have to perform certain cognitive tasks while I'll record electroencephalography, and then I'll be analyzing the data in hand in order to come with a certain conclusion. So far this has been my journey, and I hope I am able to able to come up with something that the society, some result that the society would benefit. So yeah, that's about me.
Okay, now I think it is time to interact. And the participants can ask questions one after another so that that interaction session can start.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such knowledge
You can
upon.
call me by my name, Chaitanya.
Okay, okay. So, as so much innovation happens in neuroscience, can you please shed light upon the latest technological developments in this field?
Okay, sure. I'll just begin with my study per se so that it's more relatable. As I said, certain uh, diseases, especially developmental disorders, still the diagnosis is subjective. Subjective meaning it's questionnaire based, right? So it's it can vary. Like, of course, it's proven, it's validated, but then again, there is subjective variability that occurs. So right now, many researchers are working on objective diagnostic markers so that it becomes a concrete diagnostic tool, irrespective of anywhere around the world. So what objective tool would mean is, it's like maths. If 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, that would be an objective marker for any particular disorder. That's one to begin with. Secondly, right now I think artificial intelligence and learning is in a hype, and all of us are aware that right now artificial intelligence is gaining a lot of it's gaining in power because it's able to mimic neuronal population of human mind, or neocortical mapping of human mind, so that in such a way that artificial intelligence is able to successfully play certain games like chess or other video games. It's able to self develop or correct its move in every step, and even beat grandmasters of certain grandmasters in of that particular game itself. Other is AI is like it's still in, it's not been used, but then it's been researched that how AI can be used for diagnosis of certain types of brain injuries. So what it is that there are a lot of CT scans that have been fed into AI, so that it's able to successfully diagnose a certain type of brain injury without the use of manpower. So the scarier part is, if AI is it becomes a 100% success in coming future, which we really fear it to, then the manpower would be reduced. That's the scary part, but then the fun part, it does exist. The third interesting thing would be, so people with upper limb paralysis, where they're unable to move their limb to execute a certain day-to-day functional task, researches are being done in which microchips are inserted into motor cortex of a human being, and through that microchip, the thought is being converted into action. Simple actions such as writing a text, or writing an email, or like executing zoom in option and clicks in a computer screen. Small functions, but then these are something which is happening in day to day research in different parts of the country. Other interesting thing would be, so as we know, degenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's. Here the point is that we are not able to reconvert, or we are not able to stop the degeneration and convert into regeneration. But then recent studies have published in zebrafish, where they were successfully able to regenerate the neuron, in which uh, the neuron which had hampered the vision was successfully regenerated, like correcting the vision, restoring the vision successfully. So that's there. And many more. Like these are just to name a few, but there are n number of technologies coming up, which is improving day by day, which is helping and is advancing in neuroscience. I hope I
Thank you so
answered
much.
your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you. What is the current scenario in India with respect to research in neuroscience?
I would say we are competing well. As in, if I'm not wrong, the current publication in neuroscience ranges from it ranges up till 5,000 an year, which is not very great, but it's not bad as well. So we are trying to come in upfront because we have established labs in India, which is completely dedicated to the field of neuroscience, and we are working towards achieving uh, probably in near future even gain first position in the field of neuroscience.
Can you please share your childhood interests, likes, and orientations that are very close to the nature of neuroscience?
Okay, so as I mentioned in my introduction, though I didn't pursue it for like much long, but then as I said, I always want to know how do we function. Like it's so fascinating that we are so unique uh, in the way in problem solving, let's say, or in critical analysis of anything. It was always very it used to always urge me to know. I just want to know what's happening, and I'm someone who also likes to read stories. So through stories, I want always used to read stories. Oh, like I don't know whether you've most of us are aware of digestive books. So reading digestive books or going into library, and I used to hate reading text as a whole, but then every text would have tips and small stories in the end. Most of the scientific books do have, which shares the insight into the scientist's journey or their discovery. So I really like to read those small columns which used to shed lights into how did they really find the discovery of penicillin, which we do read in NCRT books as well. So that was one thing that I was I, I I always liked knowing, okay, oh, this is how, or this can be done, oh, this exists. Then encyclopedia is like, it just fascinates me. And thankfully our libraries did have encyclopedia. So just turning the pages and being, firstly, the color or the dimensions used to project so well and used to creates that urge to know more. Oh, let's read what's happening, how, why do have, or why do octopus have 8 legs, why do, how does the suction work. All of this always intrigues, and it's fun also. I never pursued those interests for academic purposes, like I wouldn't say for competitions or something, but I used to like reading. I just have a general reading time, so that it used to be always fascinating. Then always switching to, even today, like even now, if I have nothing to do, I think switching to Discovery Channel would be one of my interesting job to do. I think then sleep or before sleep. I know that would just go here and there, but then yeah, switching to Discovery Channel or the History Channel, National Geographic Channel would be something that I really like to. I liked doing that, and I still do. Yeah, that would be that.
All right. Hello, this is Sharish speaking.
Hi.
Speaking of your childhood interests, now, what about the future? What do you dream of now? What do you
Uh,
envision to achieve?
okay. Thank you, Sharish, for the question. So, as far as now, since the COVID is prevailing, my current dream is to successfully complete my PhD. So right now I'm stuck in my recruitment phase of my PhD work, and I'm really praying somehow that my participants do turn up for my recordings, because to be honest, the moment we say research, it's for research purposes, there's apprehension. And since COVID is there, there's a lot more apprehension owing to their own health, and I don't and it's not wrong. But being a researcher, and I really want to complete my studies, so my current aim and my dream and my desire, my prayer would be that I successfully able to complete my recruitment, because it's a huge study which involves four parallel recruitment phases. So, and I'm stuck at 70%. It's just 30% more. So I just that would be my current dream or my prayer or wish to be.
Yes, COVID has been hard, but I really wish you luck. I hope you achieve what you want to. And talking about research, you said that people are usually very apprehensive when it's for research work. So, what do you say? Like, is there much scope for Indian students to get into this? Because as a student, the first thing that comes up in our mind is what's the scope of this?
Yeah. Thanks for the luck, by the way. And yes, so it's an honest fact. The moment, especially in human studies, the moment we say that we want you to participate for this study and it is completely for research, there are a lot of apprehensions because for a common man, to be very honest, they're not aware of how much the research is in work or how much is it yielding an output. For them it's just a lab work, and for a child or a researcher to just gain a degree. But what I would say is, what the scope is unlimited. There's no doubt to it, beat any stream. And since neuroscience is booming, hands down, the scope is unlimited. But the the driving force should be you, because if you are here for money or to gain fame or to turn the tables overnight, then this field won't reap you benefit in a year's time or week, months, years, or 2 3 years. You'll have to devote yourself a lot. This is the con or a drawback. But on the pros and the good side of it, neuroscience itself has a lot of different branches, from cellular and molecular physiology to systems to behavioral physiology to even educational neuroscience physiology, the neurosciences. The streams in neuroscience itself is very varied. So, if a person is interested, let's say, in molecular work, you have a scope. If let's say you want to directly be in touch with society or a community, you directly want to do something for the community, then educational neuroscience is the way to go. Because in educational neurosciences, you develop techniques so that children suffering from learning abilities, so to say, are able to learn easily or grasp easily, or education doesn't become a burden on children, but it aids and makes them more curious to learn or be to complete their studies. So the scope, because the branches are so many, the scope is also there. But yeah, patience would be the key.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hello, this is Anshuma speaking. I wanted to ask how far the studies in the neuroscience field has helped the innovative technologies and systems like machine learning and data analysis.
Hi, Anshama. How far as it learns? It's in progress. It's in progress is what I would say. As I've said, I think one of the studies that I quoted was the microchip inserted into the motor cortex, allowing the subject to able to convert their thought to action, or develop n number of computer networks in order to execute a certain task. So right now, from whatever observational studies has been gathered, that information is transformed into computational format, so that we're able to convert, let's say, thought into action. So that can help in people who have paralysis or people who have lost their parts of limb, to have their thoughts to be converted into action without much of support from either front, or develop techniques which will be able to diagnose, which would require a lot of manpower. But then if you have the information stored in, it would allow easy diagnosis of a certain disorder or scan, which would otherwise take a long period of time. So yeah, whatever till date the observational studies is being converted into translational research. So it does, and artificial intelligence and machine learning is something that's really coming up. So yeah, that's it, Anshula.
Okay, and what are the major skills required to work in this field?
I'll definitely begin with patience for research, not just for this field. If you're to enter the field of research, patience is the key to go, because it's not a smooth road ahead. So work on patience is something that I would really begin with. Apart from that, for any research or any field, what we really need to work on is critical thinking, decision making skills, good communication skills, so that you are able to present well. Because you would be required to present your work and defend your work in a larger crowd. So for that, you really need to have a good knowledge and a database, and not just collecting information, but always continuously updating and refreshing the information you have. Because probably what you'll be reading today wouldn't be validated or wouldn't be valid for, let's say, after few years in time. So there's a lot of information that's coming away. So continuous reading and always being keeping yourself updated is another key skill that I would say is good. And the other thing is, as I said, no subject is standalone. The more we get into research, there's always a collaborative work that would further enhance. So always, it's always good to know what's happening in other fields of research other than your interest as well, because probably sometimes your solution might lie in our allied science theory or knowledge or practical skills, or it might exist there. So always being curious as to what's happening around is also great for this. uh, these are the few things that's coming into my mind so far.
Okay, so one last question I have.
Sure.
Who can go for neuroscience studies? Like students should have what background and stream and interests, and how should youngsters and students of plus two prepare themselves to get into this area of study?
Okay. So generally, we might believe that neuroscience requires biology. To a certain extent, yes, it does require biology. But then even since it's a collaborative work where you require computational engineering as well in a branch in certain branches of neurosciences. So if you have a science background, you're good to go. Because even if I'm not wrong, IIT Gandhinagar offers MSc in cognitive sciences, and there even graduates from physics background are also eligible. So biology is not the limiting factor over here. It's it would depend upon which branch of neuroscience you choose. If you're choosing computational, then computer would always be in hand. But then if you're choosing educational neuroscience, psychology is students from psychology can also get into educational neurosciences. But then if you want to explore into fields of cellular molecular physiology, neuroscience particularly, or in electrophysiological aspects, in that, then the biology stream would be more helpful, at least as of now. That's there. But in India, as I'm speaking about purely in India, abroad, because there's always an amalgamation and this collaboration, yeah, like even you might have an engineering background, you can switch to a pure neurosciences bio background as well, because it just narrows down to whatever knowledge you have to convert it into a translational research. That's there.
Thank you so much.
Hello, I am Maria P. Raju. I have suddenly completed my class 12 this year. My question to you is, as a general view, many of our parents and students know only medicine as they complete schooling. They are not aware of allied and very important areas of life sciences. So can you please speak something about the scope of human body related studies and its allied disciplines?
Thank you, Maria, for the question. True, that most, I won't say most, but yeah, parents are not aware of allied sciences as such, because, well, because in their time, medicine, nursing, and engineering was the way to, or teaching was the way to go. They're not to be blamed. But then I think with time they are also getting open-minded, and they are also digging into what are prospective educational offers or sciences are available. As to what to choose, would how the scope would be. See, right now though I think I've mentioned more than twice over here that there are different branches of neurosciences. Apart from that also, if you have to choose science as a stream, there are n number of subjects available to master. To name a few: biochemistry, microbiology, genetics, biotechnology, etc. Fine. So the the streams available are numerous to us. So the scope is two. So if you enter the field of research, research is always gonna be updated because it requires that. Till we are not, we haven't come to a stage where we know the answers to every question. Even for a known pathway, the network pathway might have been known, but then the cellular pathways are still being worked out, right? So there's always a paucity in the literature that's available to us. So as far as the scope of research goes, it would, like, in not just today but in coming future also, it would be always open for us. But this, with subject to choose, that would purely lie in your interest, is what I would say. So before diving into selecting a certain subject, know know your interest, because if you won't have interest, it would be like pushing yourself unnecessarily or dragging yourself into it, and that is not something that anyone would want to, because research really requires a lot of patience for you to execute your work. So as far as the scope goes, I don't think anyone needs to worry. We have good institutes available in India, which offers good laboratories which are in par with outside countries, and good publications. So everything narrows down to your publications. So, and publications are coming on a yearly basis with good mentors available. So scope is not something that we really need to fear of.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next question is, as you are in a prestigious institute doing your research, can you tell something how you get into this institute? What is the facility and specialization of Indian institutes in this field?
Uh, my brief introduction did say that to enter any institute for that matter, right now the standard mode of selection is entrance followed by interview. So if you have to prepare for a certain university or certain college, you will be having an entrance examination which you need to clear, and after clearing that, you will have to appear for interview. Before getting into that, ensure that you have a minimum percentage that's required for a certain subject. Majorly, the cutoff is near around 60 percentage, or few colleges and university does allow 55 percentage as a cutoff to appear for entrance examinations. So do ensure that you meet the eligibility criteria for that. Um, then yeah, that would be one thing. So entrance was the way to go. I'm sorry, I forgot the second half of the question. Could you just repeat it?
It was about the facility and specialization of Indian institute in this field.
Sure. Sorry, my bad. Regarding the facilities, so I would just name few of the institutes which do offer neurosciences as one of the subjects in which you can pursue your sciences. Indian Institute of Science has a Center for Neuroscience. There's Center for Brain Research. There's NBRC Manesar, AIIMS of course. Then University JNU does offer, Madras University, Pondicherry. Sorry, not Pondicherry University. Madras University does offer science laboratory. NIMHANS is another prestigious institute that does offer neuroscience as a career. Like if you were to pursue, these are the certain institutes which you can actually look forward to pursue neurosciences. Regarding the facilities, uh, all of them, to my awareness, have the latest top-notch facilities available. So, if I'm to speak of my lab, currently if, we have upgraded our EG recording. So the original EG recording was of that of 19 channel. We had upgraded into 128 channel. Now we have upgraded into 256 EG channel. So all of these premier institutes have top-notch facilities available in order to conduct your research, which would be in par with the other countries, be it US, Canada, Australia, to name some.
Thank you. My last question to you is, can you please tell some of the best institutes and places in the field for higher education and what are the courses?
So as I mentioned right now, Maria, if you want to pursue neuroscience as such, then Institute AIIMS, always JNU, Institute of Science Bangalore, TIFO, Tata Institute Mumbai, NBRC Manesar, then I think Center for Research Bangalore, uh, the Center for Cognitive Sciences IIT Gandhinagar. Yeah, these are the names that are coming to my mind as of now. If you want to pursue for your higher studies in this branch.
Hello, Harleen this side.
I had
I had my question. How can I self-evaluate my brain or neurological health?
okay. Self-evaluate. The easiest is just Google, and there would be a lot of games and questionnaires that would come. So that okay, there would be n number of questionnaires and games that are available online. For fun's sake and to keep yourself motivated, you can always go through it. But then, if you really need to check the validity, I would suggest always research on that whether that particular questionnaire is validated in the research front or not, because there would be only few of the questionnaires which are validated and are used for diagnosis purposes in research laboratories or hospitals. So just for your own interest, you can Google, and there will be a number of information available for you to know. Just have a rough about idea whether how well you perform in your cognition. uh, yeah, that would be the easiest way to go in order to self evaluate. Any more questions?
Uh, I think there is some trouble with the audio. Now, is a dream something which is happening or going to happen, or sending us messages what all our future holds?
Interesting question, Father. Uh, okay, so there are a lot of theories. Few theories negate the function, dream holds any potential at all. But few of the theories which are interesting to know is again, Freud. Sigmund Freud has a work on dream, and his work states that dreams are actually something which reflects our inner desires, or something that was lost in our some any of our desire that was lost in our childhood and we don't remember, or something that we really wanted to pursue but has been lost in our journey of adulthood. That's one Sigmund's theory. Then there's a evolutionary basis of dreams which say that it just evolutionary it exists. So we are aware of a predator and prey part, where in order to the prey, in order to protect himself or herself from the predator, they act dead in a way that they'll slow their breathing, they won't move, so that the predator thinks that this prey is dead and they won't attack further. So what happens in REM sleep, I mentioned earlier in my talk, then in REM sleep your brain is active, but you have peripheral bodies, there's a complete muscle autonomia, so it mimics that prey predator model. So some say it's an evolutionary thing that's there but holds no importance to it. Then certain people say it's just random neuronal firing that's taking place, which is resulting in, like, so there is due to neuronal firing, which is, so brain is not like the structure of the brain is not isolated, every area is connected. So when there is these random neuronal firing taking place, and as soon as there is a neuron finding a certain area, it's being projected, or that's what is being relayed. So certain people say that dream holds that. Then on the scientific note, there are papers which say that dream help in memory consolidation as well. On a very interesting note, we know there are scientists who have come to a conclusion or found a solution to their question in their dream. So they must be working in their they must be working throughout for days and months, and they must not have come to a conclusion. But in a certain fine day in their dream, they found an answer to their solution, that problem they had been working. And when they worked that out, it actually turns out to be the answer. So yeah, the fun fact is that your dreams could give you answers to the existing problem. Could.
As you might know, nowadays suicide rates are on the rise. What's your opinion for this behavioral cognition?
Okay, that's a very important question, but a very difficult one too. As we all know, suicide is a very complex behavior. We cannot just decode and say this results in this. To the very minimal knowledge, what I have is the trigger for suicide can be a trauma or a violence or depression or self pity or social fear. As a result, all of this acts as a stressor, and we know stress has a great impact on cognition. So rather than talking about suicide, I would stick to stress because my knowledge on suicide is limited. But because stress comes as a factor, one of the possible factor for suicide, and it is proven that stress has a long, even a shorter period of stress is reflected in cognition. It eventually leads to cognitive deficits, which can be studied through various cognitive uh, domains and experiments. So I think what needs to be target uh, over here is stress more, to my knowledge or to my smaller understanding, because it eventually leads to cognitive deficit, and finally it's executed behaviorally in different, either physically in certain ways, is what I would say.
Can you please tell more about brain cognition learning skills?
Brain cognition learning skills. Okay, so it's as simple as this. Our neurons talk to each other through a process called synapse. Okay, this is nothing. They talk. Okay, so if they just talk once, the conversation would be forgotten. But if they continuously talk about the same thing, that conversation would be retained, isn't it? That's how simply it works. So that's what neurons do. If you learn for a day, you'll forget what you learned. But if you continuously learn, what happening? The talking is becoming strong. Fine. When the talk becomes strong, it would be retained in your memory. That's how it would work. So in order to for learning skills, what needs to be done is you need to be persistent in your effort. You can, whatever skill you would like to develop, just don't leave, do it for a day, or just don't be in it so enthusiastic you'll do every day for 7 days, but then you won't turn back. The consolidation of whatever skill you want to achieve happens gradually, and it takes time. There are a lot of research available which should say that you need to repeat whatever you've learned in an interval of first, third, 7, then 21 days, and unrepeat it after 3 months. Because what's happening is consolidation. So the more you repeat a work, the more you learn. The second thing is you need to just rereading wouldn't suffice, because rereading becomes a very monotonous task which we are not interested in. So in order to, you need to be actively involved. To be actively involved, we need uh, to add different contexts to your learning. It could be a funny story, or it could be connecting it to an emotional context, connecting it to a conversation you recently had. So actively making the written written text in front of you will allow different areas of your brain to be activated and work together. As a result, it will help you to learn and retain the information, because it's now no longer a boring text in front of you, but an interesting story in front of you, which you want to know more or always want to revisit more. So, this would be something that you would really like to work, like engage different parts of your brain using colors or different stories, but make it as abstract and stand out as possible. Always, just don't have one reading or twice reading. Be persistent. Always come and revisit so that it sticks. And cognition is basically nothing. It's just, acquiring knowledge through thoughts, through experiences, through different senses. So more you involve all of it, more you make it interesting, more you make it a thought process, more you make it as an experience, more you make more senses involved, it would be it will stay longer. So yeah, that would be my light on brain cognition and learning.
Hello. Hi, Chaitanya. I am Dr. Chiki and Philip. So my question is that, as a neuroscientist, what would you like to say about the Alzheimer's disease and other neurological disorders? Because now we are facing more number of cases in Alzheimer's, and it's very difficult to handle that patients for society and their family members also. So what's your opinion?
Thanks, Dr. Chiki. I hope I didn't utter blunder in my talk right now. Now that I'm
No,
scared you are there. But on a scientific note, as we know, Alzheimer's is a neurodegenerative disorder, and
Yes.
neurodegeneration is something that we haven't like, which is not reversed. So what we can do is we can either control, that's medication, through medication it's been controlled, or through different cognitive therapies it can be delayed, but there's no foolproof reverting back the neuronal degeneration. And majorly, Alzheimer's, to my knowledge, it's because of tau and amyloid proteins, which eventually leads to brain entanglement, hence memory loss and dementia, right? So, as far as neuroscience goes, what I'm aware is there are a lot of models, animal models coming up, which in not just in Alzheimer's, also in Parkinson's, dementia, etc. In order to know the exact molecular mechanism, how does it work, or what exactly is the cause of these diseases. But again, they are just researches which are going uh, currently being worked on. Certain research is commenting on oxidative stress as one of the reasons, in on top of tau and amyloid bodies. Certain cognitive researchers say that we can delay if we are continuously activating their brain and involving them in cognition, in the various cognitive activities, making through mental arithmetics or keeping their mind active. To so far, it can also be delayed. But then again, these are all research and no concrete solutions so far. That's not a great news, but then the hopeful part of it, that research is being conducted, and surely we can, in near future, we'll have a concrete solution, or a solution to the problem. Yeah.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
And then like,
Yeah.
another question is like, how does the active learning and the play of brain impact the plasticity of our brain?
So I think someone had just recently asked about brain cognition and learning, and I mentioned that the more you involve different parts of the brain, the more actively you will pursue it. The text in front of you is not boring. It's no longer just text. It becomes more lively, and there's more interest. And always, just rather than reading reading through the text, always having the curiosity to know how a certain question, what, when, why, how. If you always ask this, always acts as a trigger to know more and retain the information more, is what I feel. So be it through your experience part, be it your senses, like not just reading, but probably listening to what you've just read, or associating it to a certain area, place, human. So all of this requires activation of different parts. So hence, more the involvement of your brain, more it would just aid you in learning.
Okay, this one is the last question, and this one is my favorite. I just want to know: is it true that we can control our unconscious or conscious mind without sleep or in sleep also? Like, how can we
Okay.
balance if we want, like, so many right now, so many motivation gurus are saying like we can control our unconscious. So what's in neuroscience? We can control it or not?
uh, I won't. Okay. So again, the part of the unconscious mind is still in debates and still in research, because certain section of this research says that it's a subliminal. It plays no role. It's just nothing. But on the contrary, there are books written, theories of subconscious mind, how to control your brain, how to control this, been written where they say that doing certain things would able you to unconscious mind. To my limited knowledge, what I have read and understood is subconscious mind. So consciousness comes into play a bit afterwards. The action is played in your brain first, and then through our behavioral learning, we control. The behavioral learning would be the consciousness part. We control our physical action outside. So that unconscious part is basically trained or somewhere controlled by a conscious part. So I wouldn't much comment or shed light on unconsciousness, but what I could definitely say is we can definitely train our conscious brain when to act, how to act, what to do, what not to do, how to do. This is something we can always work, and probably then go back to unconsciousness, where there are certain stories that people relate, that through unconsciousness people could relate or could understand that their sibling is in pain some thousands kilometer away, but then it's all vague out there, and my knowledge is also very limited, so I wouldn't comment much on unconsciousness part. Regarding sleep and unconsciousness, I would just say sleep is such a beautiful phenomena existing out there, and if it's taking you to a world of different dimension, why not just enjoy it for now till we discover more.
Thank you for all the answers, and all the best for your research.
Thank you, Chiki.
Okay, anyone has any more questions? Anyway, it was wonderful to listen to Chaitanya, and truly your passion for this physiology, neuroscience, that is so visible. And you are led by that curiosity, as you have mentioned. It is not just to read and know the textbook oriented things, but it is you are just showing to the participants a research oriented academic journey. It is not even as a researcher, me PhD scholar, but from the beginning, you had that aptitude of research-oriented academics. That is so visible, and you are devoting yourself fully, and surely you will have the benefit and fruits in your life, and not for you, but for others, for us also. Especially this cognitive neuroscience is so much a need for everything, for every stream. It is multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, and the knowledge about this brain cognitive neuroscience helps in various disciplines. I mean, it contributes to various disciplines to progress. So let your dreams and this dedication be fruitful and successful, and that you are exploring more, as you have told from the beginning. You were reading curiously the scientists, their innovation, their scientific journey. So that is a stepping stone for you to contribute in the same way. we pray for, and which you have given a hopeful note that our Indian laboratories and the progress moving towards the top, that is great in the world. In this world of neuroscience, that is so promising and so positive, because we always consider our academics as so-called mediocre. I mean, because that is why many are flying, migrating for academics outside. But as you are telling that from the prime institute, from the international journals and academic researchers, you are, I mean, from that evaluation, you are speaking that this promising, you are sharing this promising note. That is truly wonderful, and that will help our youngsters also to be here to do more research and studies. Anyway, thanks a lot, Chaitanya. Now I hope our Carol James will give an vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carol James, and I am here to extend the vote of thanks for today's webinar. I have immense pleasure in thanking our guest speaker, Ms. Chaitanya Leon, for her valuable presence and enlightening us with her vast knowledge and expertise. You gave us deep insights over neuroscience and also revealed some extremely interesting facts. The point where you told us about the beauty of sleep was very relatable, and your research on sleep cycles was very informative and enriching. I'm pretty sure that the facts you shared will definitely be of great help to us. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule and being here to enlighten us. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to Reverend Dr. Benny Palati for providing constant encouragement and support to the youth, and also for convening this insightful event. I am also very happy to thank all those who are present for this webinar. I am sure that the knowledge we gained from this interactive session will be helpful to our life ahead. I would like to conclude by saying that it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for this occasion, and even to attend this very extremely insightful and interesting session. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Carol, and I hope this talk benefit, if not benefit, did click a fire to know more and be curious and to explore into the world of neuroscience. I hope there are more budding neuroscientists in India coming up, and we reach a great level. Thanks, Father, for giving me this opportunity. I stand nowhere like in context of expertise as such, but really thank you so much for just giving me this opportunity and helping me, like allowing me to share whatever small knowledge I have in this field, and I hope it was of some valuable input.
You told you are not an expert, but I try to invite who are passionate in areas, because that is what the way I select the experts for the field. Also, as you have told, neurons coming together, interacting, that is the way we learn things. So the same way, as a younger scientist or neuroscientist budding, you can converse, interact more effectively than so-called established elders, because they will be more scientific and technical. But here you have opened, no doubt, you have opened doors to hundreds of areas where those who are interested in life sciences, biology, and then even the latest innovative technologies and neuroscience, opened so many in-depth ways. So surely it was so enriching, and you have that clarity too. For every question, you were so clear in your answer. So wishes, thanks a lot to every participant.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.